Good morning and welcome to Women Who Rock with Success. And this is your show host, Miss Diane Winbush, coming to you today with our podcast in the studio. Just a couple of announcements that I would like to make. Do not forget about our upcoming conference that's going to be held at the Sand Lake Business Center, and that's going to be in Orlando, Florida. And that's going to be on July the 12th, 2019, and it's going to start from 11 o'clock a.m. to 1 o'clock p.m. And that is also on our registration page, and do not forget about that. You can go to our website at www.womenwhorockwithsuccess.com. So today we're going to learn more about our finances, our credit reports, and different other various information. And today on the show, we have our guest as Mrs. Mallet, and she's going to be the one that's going to give us all of those tools and resources and more about her and her firm. So welcome to the show, Lakeisha.
Thank you for having me, Diane. I'm glad to be on your show today.
Okay, thank you. So tell us about you, a little bit about your history.
Okay. So first off, I'm a wife, a mom, and a business owner. But before that, I would say about 12 years ago now, I went on a quest to find out what I didn't know about money. I grew up in a community where I didn't see anyone thriving financially, so I didn't want to continue to have the burden of student loan debt, credit card debt, just even the debt from just everyday life expenses from my car, all of those things. I didn't want that burden hanging on me so tough because it was. So I went on a quest to really find out what did I need to do to get out of debt. So that started 12 years ago. 18 months later, I was totally and completely debt-free. And after I was done paying off everything I owed, the last debt I had was the U.S. Department of Education for my student loan. I went on a quest to really empower and help women especially, excuse me, but all professionals get to a place where they didn't have to be burdened down by money, that they could understand how money works, they could understand how economics work, they could understand the fundamentals of creating a solid financial plan and then setting up future generations.
That is awesome. That is awesome because sometimes, I guess, in our community or our environment, sometimes we may see individuals that are just trying to, I guess, live above water, or they perhaps maybe just trying to survive. So that's a major impact where we want to be able to do better. We want to be able to grow better and be able to live better, despite of some of our means of where I guess what we have seen before. So even with that, let's back it up just a little bit more. So what was your lifestyle like before you came into finances? What was it that could perhaps maybe, I know that you spoke about, you didn't want to see things, you want to see things a little bit different from where you came or whatever you have saw in your past. So a little bit more about you before you even came into the financial status of where you are today.
Yes, so I am the product of a single-parent home, born and raised in the inner city in Detroit, and I saw my mom work hard, and she was a hard worker. She did all she could, really, to keep a roof over our head, to keep food on the table, and to really just be able to provide a nice living for herself and myself. I am an only child, like I was saying. So my only way of, or I thought of getting to financial freedom or to live my version of the American dream was to go off to school. So I went off to college and I started my job in corporate America. I worked for one of the largest telecommunications companies in the country. And so I started my career in corporate America. I actually spent 17 years there before I went on to become an entrepreneur, but I worked in corporate America. I had a decent salary, I guess you would say. So I was able to do some things. I was able to travel. Like I said, I still had the debt. I had the credit card debt. I had I had over $20,000 in student loan debt. I had another $10,000 in credit card debt, and then I had my car and all of those things. So total, I think I had about $44,000 in debt. So, but I was doing the things that I thought I enjoyed. I would go to the mall and I would spend and I would buy myself something nice. But when an unexpected emergency happened, if I got a blowout on the freeway, I would have to put that on the credit card. So it was becoming this never-ending cycle. I wasn't getting ahead. Yes, me and my girlfriends, my best friends, we would go and we would travel and we would take these girls' trips. And then I would come back because I put it on the credit card. So now I'm playing catch-up. I would have to use my tax refund to try and pay the credit card off. And so it was just this never-ending vicious cycle that I just couldn't seem to get ahead of. And I said, there has to be something different. Life has to be different. There has to be a better way. And then I heard about a friend of mine mention Dave Ramsey. Not sure if you're familiar with him at all, but she mentioned a book of his. And so I went to the store, and this was December of 2007. I went to the store and purchased his book, and I just began to read it and practice and put into place. It was actually two books that were really pivotal for my financial change. It was that book and then a book called The Richest Man in Babylon by George Clason. And so between those two books, I used those as the catalyst to take me from where I was to really where I am now financially. And I would just beyond a shadow of a doubt recommend those books to any of your listeners because they really do help set the foundation and the framework, and it helps you get over that hump. Because like I said, I was caught in this vicious cycle of using my credit cards to do the things that needed to be done because I didn't have enough in income. And, you know, we can talk later about why I didn't have enough in income. But yeah, just to get over that hump, I knew I had to do something different. And what is the saying? I think it's by Einstein, right? I think it's Einstein, is that, you know, if you keep doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results, you know, that's the definition of insanity. So I knew something had to give.
Absolutely, that is quite empowering because, and the reason that I asked that question is for the listeners because the podcast is going to be on several platforms. And so what we try to do with Women Who Rock with Success, we try to give women that are in entrepreneurs, and we've had celebrities as our guests as well on the show, but what we try to do is we try to provide the pivotal point. What was the change in the guest lifestyle that caused them to be able to excel or escalate in the capacity of where they are today? So take, for example, we had an individual that was on the show, I think it was 2014, and she worked for Nightly Business News. And so, of course, I think it was some cuts that were going on back then, and her position was one of them that got cut as a producer. And so she had to find her own niche for business. She couldn't sit there and just, well, I'm not a producer anymore. I have to find something else to do. And so she began to build her portfolio back up financially, and she began to open up a coaching business that was able to help other entrepreneurs. So that's the purpose of the reason why we ask individuals to go all the way back just a little bit so the entrepreneurs will not get the impression, or whomever that may listen to the podcast that may not get the impression that, oh, I started out with a golden spoon in my mouth. There were challenges that caused me to be able to take some more lucrative steps into being in the capacity where I am. So that's the purpose of me asking that question, because I want the entrepreneurs to know that the show is to let them know that there are challenges. Nothing is free. You have to work hard. You have to put in sweat equity in order for all of us, to be able to be where we are. So that is so awesome. So from your experience, why is it difficult for people to save? Because a lot of times it can create a challenge, just like you were stating. You were shop, here go the credit card, and we love to do that. We love to charge it. We love to see nice things. So what, in your experience, has that you feel that has caused individuals not to save, so to speak?
So one of the things, and this is something that I share with my clients all the time, is that success with money really is 80% mindset first. The mechanics are only 20%. So we can focus on the mechanics, but if we really don't get our mindset right about finances and those limiting beliefs that we have about money, because what I didn't say, and I'll go back to your last question as I answer this one, is that when you grow up in an environment similar to mine, I would say, when you see someone who is struggling just to keep the bills paid and just to provide a nice standard of living, you begin to internalize some of the things that are taught, and then some of those things are just caught. So when you go to the store and you pick up something as a child and they say, if we go in this store, don't ask for anything. No, you can't have it. You put it back, so you begin to internalize those things, and they begin to form what starts to become your philosophy about money. So if you see money from the eyes or from the framework of, I have to rob Peter to pay Paul, there's not enough, I'm struggling, going from pillar to post, some of those things, those cliches that we say, those are the framework for what we really truly believe financially. And so you really have to get to the heart of why you believe that way, and are those things true? So one of the exercises that I always have my clients do, and it's something I did for myself, is write down all of the things that I heard about money. So, and then I was able to check off, is this actually true? Or is it not true? And if it's not true, then we're going to scratch it out and we're going to replace it with something positive, because you're going to have to change your mindset around money first. If you always think it's hard to earn money, if you always think that there's not enough, I don't care what the mechanics are. Everyone knows how to put a budget in place, or a spending plan, as I like to call it. People, the B word is the dreaded B word. So I try to stick away from budget, but just calling it a spending plan. Most people don't want to cut out the cable, cut out going to the Starbucks. They don't want to cut their life all the way down to the bare minimums, which in some regards or some aspects people may have to do. But for the most part, people don't want to do that. But why don't you want to do that? Why do you feel like I have to have the Starbucks, or I have to go to, the mall and buy a new dress or a new pair of pants or shoes or bag? What are the beliefs that are driving your actions? And so that is one of the most fundamental things that I think everyone really needs to understand about being successful financially, because once we get to the underlying parts of why you feel that way, once we can change those, then the mechanics become easy to do. It's just like someone who wants to diet and lose weight. We know what's easy to do is also easy not to do. If you want to lose weight, you need to move more, eat less, right? If you want to excel financially, you have to have more coming in income than you have going out. You have to have more in assets than you do on liabilities. You have to have more, that you have to spend less, earn more, So you have to kind of work those two in tandem. You have to be able to get to a place where, money and money decisions and the lack of money, lack of resources are not your focal point, but you really operate from a mindset that there is more than enough. I have the resources to be able to meet my needs, and then create the plan to get to where you want to get to financially. I know I said a mouthful.
I mean, that's fine, because that's what the podcast is about. Basically, it's the resources and the tools that we need, because sometimes it can be very, very difficult for individuals. They want to be able to keep all of the pile. They want to keep the pile. I don't want to give up anything. I don't want to give up the getting the nails done, the pedicures every week. I don't want to give up the extra cable. I don't want to give up the extra this. I don't want to give up anything. But we have to be able to, as you stated, basically have to cut corners. And then some of the things that we think that we really need, we actually really don't need it. And so it's basically like a temptation. I would say at times when it comes to saving and be able to have a spending tool that you can be able to utilize. I here at home, I think I have like so many ledgers, and it's just full of everything that I spend, and I try to keep the receipts, and I'll write all of that down, because that's the main thing. A lot of times individuals even go to the store, they don't even feel that their receipts are valuable. Why I'm going to let you keep my receipt? It's mine. Give it here. And so I think that is very, very important that we pay attention to the small things that we let go out of the doors sometimes. You can be able to record, and then after you get through recording everything, not just little stuff like the dollar store, but I'm talking about big ticket items. And once you get through recording it, you'll be able to see where it is that you need to cut the corners and blase. So, very, very good description. Yeah, very good description of how you put that about how important it is to save. So let's switch gears here for a little bit. And so let's talk a little bit about your coaching firm, Mallet Coaching Firm. And so give us a little dynamics of the purpose of it, and what are some of the takeaways that you want your potential clients to be able to leave with, and the clients that you serve at this time.
Okay. So going back to my story in 2007, when I really started my quest to financial freedom, after I paid off that last debt, the U.S. Department of Education, I started sharing everything I learned with everyone I could come across with. And I put together like this study group at work, and it was women from my job that were in my same office. I would send them homework assignments every week that they had to do about, understanding their credit score, where were they financially, if they had a money market account, opening a high-yielding interest account, So there were so many things that I just really started to do, because I had a friend who said, well, I'm just going to owe till I go. And I thought, wow, it took me 18 months to get out of debt. So for you to think, or anyone to think, that they had to have debt for the rest of their life, they didn't have to. No one has to carry debt that long. And so I just went on a quest to share my story with anyone who would listen, really just trying to help empower people, because what we do know, the statistics tell us that after working 40-plus years of hard labor, 95% of Americans will either be dead or dead broke in their retirement years. So either dead or dead broke. And so I thought, after working 40-plus years, 95% of the population will have not figured out this thing called money. And so I made it my mission in life to really help educate and empower people to get from under that stress and that burden of money, really, like I said, changing the mindset about money, and then putting an effective plan into place to help them get to where they want to get. One of the things that I try to live by is that I want to leave something for at least 2 generations. Like, I want my children's children, when I pass on, to be farther ahead than even I am. I don't want them to have to start at the bottom and continue to repeat the same cycle that for generations most people I know have repeated. You pass on and they start at square one, and then they pass on and the next generation starts at square one, and they pass on. And I saw so many other communities, when they would pass on, they would leave their children a home, or they would, leave a large sum of inheritance. And I thought, in in an African-American communities especially, I thought that had to change. And so I really made it my mission to go out and then share this word, share this empowerment with people that you do not have to die broke. You don't have to live broke. You can enjoy your life. You can enjoy your financial life. You can enjoy it, but also you can create a plan for your future at the same time.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Absolutely, because a lot of times individuals do, I guess they're mentally complacent, where they feel that, I think when we were coming up with children, it was a cliche that they would always mention, if they bring something over the television about, you need to not eat so much of this and not eat so much of that. And so sometimes the older community of individuals, they would say, well, we're going to die with something. So that's basically, to me, it's a mentally complacent where we feel that, we have to eat this, or we have to go here, or we have to do this, or we have to be in debt. This is, I feel that whatever we speak out of our mouths comes into fruition as well. So that's something we have to be careful about, especially. And then, too, I would even say the environment is another, you have to be able to put yourself in an environment where people are speaking positive. They have a good financial portfolio. They have different, things to be able to bring and add to you as an asset, an individual, so to speak. So I just really feel that we don't have to be in debt. I know that we don't. That's just something that, we choose to do. So that's great that your firm provides all of these tools and resources for entrepreneurs and for potential clients. So walk us through just a small step. We don't have to get all of the steps the strategic steps that you bring a potential client in. But so take, for instance, if I'm a potential client and I'm interested in your services, take us through a couple of steps of what to expect when we come on board as a potential client with your firm.
Okay, something my mentor did with me, and now that I do with my clients as well, one of the first questions that I always ask is, especially if someone really feels that they are struggling financially or in a place where they don't really want to be, I ask them the question, why do you hate money? And so really that question takes people back, because the normal response is, I don't hate money. I love money. Do you? What do you do with the things that you love? You cherish them. You protect them. You try to do what's right by them. You don't have that same relationship with money. So can you tell me that you love it? What do you do with things that you hate? You stay away from, you shy away from, you don't really embrace it like you should. So when we talk about changing the mindset, I like to start with that question, because it really gets people thinking, maybe I don't have the best relationship with money. And then we go into some other exercises around the mindset. And then the next thing that we do is we design our ideal life. Well, what does your ideal life look like? How much do you need to earn in order to live the life that you really want to live? What is that number? If you earn $100,000, but you're living off of 125 or 150 or whatever the number is, then maybe designing your ideal life income-wise, you need to be at $150,000, which is doable for anyone, entrepreneur, professional, small business owner or not. That is doable for anyone. So then we outline how much or what do you need to earn. Then from there we execute the strategy. Okay, so I follow what I created called the wealth strategy. The wealth strategy is, 1, what do you need to earn in order to live the life you need to live? Then 2, expect the unexpected. A portion of your income we're going to set aside for those emergencies. Unexpected things happen. You can't control if you hit a pothole on the freeway and your tire goes out, but you can be prepared for that expenses if it arises. Then the A is for active capital, or to accelerate your income. So I believe that we all should put aside a portion of our income to accelerate our income. You don't have to step into full-time entrepreneurship, but you have a gift, a talent, a unique calling, and something that you do well, something that lights your heart on fire that you should be pouring into. So maybe you like working with children. Maybe you want to start a podcast. Maybe you love to bake. We should have some funds that we can set aside to help further that venture so it can bring you in additional income. Mm-hmm. Then the L is for long-term saving or your long-term planning. Even if you love what you do, and you may love what you do, but at 80, 85, you may not want to do it with the same intensity that you do at 45 or 50. So let's put something aside long-term so that it can carry you in your golden years. Then the T is for treat yourself. A portion of your income should go to treating yourself, and I think this is where most people, professional entrepreneurs, no matter where you fall on the ladder, most people are not factoring in this category, so most times they spend too much treating themselves or not enough. But it's all because they don't have a category for that. If you like to go to the spa, if you enjoy vacationing, if you want to go to a concert, you have to factor that into your strategic plan. You can do those things, just factor them in. And then the H is for helping others, whether it's giving to your local church or nonprofit. If you have a passion project that you want to be able to sow into or help further, help advance a portion of your income, even if you have a cousin, uncle, aunt, friend, relative who needs some assistance, you have some resources to the side that you can help them do that. You can help take care of them. You can help them get over the hurdle or the hump. So that is how we outline a financial plan for someone. We take them through the wealth strategy, but we focus on the mindset first. And once we're past that, then we design, here is how we'll set up, our plan going forward. So that's the steps that I really take my clients through to get them from where they are and get that bigger vision. You help break that down into smaller pieces. And I heard something some years ago that always stuck with me. And I'll ask you the question, Diane. Have you ever been bitten by an elephant?
No.
Have you ever been bitten by a mosquito?
Yes.
See, it's the small things that bite. So it's the small things. If you don't, if you're not paying attention to the smaller things, the big picture is not going to be what is the demise of you financially. It's those smaller things that we aren't taking into account, that we're not being responsible for. Like you said, even with the receipts, not even looking at your receipts or looking at your checkbook or even keeping a ledger to see what's coming in and going out. It's those small things that really get to you at the end of the day.
Mm-hmm. That is a very description. That's a good description. If there's an elephant bit you, I'm not going to get close to it if we can. But, like you stated, it's the small things that we overlook that perhaps can be, I guess a feather in our cap sometimes. Wow, that's interesting.
Right.
That's something to think about. So let's shift gears for a second, and we're going to go to another segment real briefly, and this is going to be in regards to bad credit scores. And so a lot of individuals, they do have bad credit scores. I think recently I just had to contact one of, I think it was Experian, because sometimes individuals can, if you have accounts or you have merchant accounts, individuals sometimes have the right, and we don't even look at our terms and conditions. We don't even read them. We just read the first 3 paragraphs. So sometimes some merchants can be able to go in and have authority to be able to go in and do periodic credit checks, and that can sometimes lower the score for individuals, entrepreneurs, individuals that work 9 to 5, or even some celebrities, So take us a little bit about bad credit scores, and how can we be able to turn that around for those that wish to repair that?
Okay, so credit is so vitally important, and the reason it is, in most states, even your car insurance, what you pay in insurance is factored by your credit score. But what most people don't realize is that when you have a low credit score, you spend more on the things that you want to enjoy, a car or a house, because your interest rates are going to be so much higher than someone who has good credit. So one of the things that I always tell people to do is go to annualcreditreport.com and pull your credit report. Look at it. Look and see if there are any discrepancies. See if there are any inaccuracies. See if anything is there that you don't recognize, that needs to be removed, if you need to dispute something that is there. Do that with the credit reporting agencies, but you can't do that if you're not looking at it, right? So you at least once a year, you are entitled to get one free credit report. Pull it, annualcreditreport.com, and look at your credit report and see what's there. If you're in a renting situation, most times your landlord can report your on-time payments to the credit bureau. So go talk to your landlord. Go talk to the person, the management company, see if that is even possible. Then you want to make sure that you are paying all of your bills on time. Again, when you factor in the wealth strategy, it becomes easier to do that, but you want to be able to make sure that you pay all of your bills on time. And then after you've paid your bills on time, don't carry more than a 30% balance on your credit card. So if you have a credit card, make sure they are not over 30% with the amount of money that you have used on them. So keep a balance under 30%. Those are some of the big things that most people can do to really make sure that they give themselves a boost in the positive direction with their credit score.
Mm-hmm. Awesome.
And then also, to go back to your question, they can also tell the credit bureaus that they want to put they don't want those periodic inquiries into their credit. They have to have the credit bureaus can contact them if someone wants to inquire, and then they can say yes or no. So you also want to contact the credit bureaus and tell them put a hold or put a block on your account for those inquiries, so those won't happen without your notification.
Mm-hmm. Perfect. Well stated. So the last segment is going to be all about you, okay? And so what's your next chapter for you, Lakeisha?
So next chapter for me, I am not only doing financial coaching, but I have moved into the business coaching space as well. Like I said, in the wealth strategy, we help entrepreneurs or aspiring entrepreneurs really uncover their gift and begin to monetize that. So that's next chapter for me. I'm working big picture on a few other things that I want to do that is part of my legacy building that I want to be able to pass down. I have 3 little girls, and my goal is that when they are of age, if you want to go to college, perfect. If you do not, perfect. We have an outlet for you to be able to join your profession, do what you love, and not have to maybe go the traditional route that most people go, whether it's, college to a corporation or anything like that. If they want to become entrepreneurs, then we're going to, foster an environment for them to be able to do that. So I'm putting those pieces together so that when my children are of age, they have options, and I want them to know that they have options. So that's my next step.
Okay, perfect. So the last question is, how can the listeners be able to connect with you? If there are any publications that you have released, as well as any social media handles that you would like to share with the listeners, as well as your website, how they can be able to connect with you, contact you, perhaps maybe get tools and resources off your digital media platforms. You can do that this time and share with the listeners.
Okay. I can be found at www.malletcoaching.com. That's MALLETT coaching.com. That's my website. It's Mallet Coaching on Facebook. I also have a Facebook page or Facebook group for professional women. It's an incubator and mastermind group for women, and it is called Success by Design. And that Facebook group is, they can go to bit.ly/successmyway and request to join that group. I am Lakeisha Mallet on Instagram, and also they can reach me at 313-355-0547. That is my phone number where my assistant and I, we set up appointments, and we talk to, we take consultations and talk with people as they call and want to really get a handle on where they are financially and then create that plan to get to where they want to be.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. So, listeners, we have had a wonderful time with this financial strategist. She has shared so much information in regards to how she began and what changed and impacted her to be able to bring more to the table in finances, and even to change her own way of thinking in regards to finances. And she's also have shared with you information and tools and resources about how to repair your credit, how to save. These things are very essential and important, even if you have a personal financial portfolio as well as you're trying to manage your own business financial portfolio, because you have to be able to maintain both of them. And those tools and resources should be able to impact, empower, and also to get you on the right road that you need to be able to have a better financial success. Even also, she shared with us about Dave Ramsey and his book that you can be able to look up and purchase, so you can be able to read, to be able to help you more mentally, because it's a mental process. I feel that's the biggest issue with many individuals, is the reason why individuals fall into financial crisis. So we thank you so much, Lakeisha, for being our guest on today, sharing your tools and your resources and information with Women Who Rock with Success and with the listeners. That was so very valuable and also lucrative to each and every last one of us. So, again, we say thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I had a great time.
Thank you. So, listeners, for all upcoming events, and the next one that's going to be on the podcast, which is going to be Thursday, and for any changes that we're making to our TV channel as well, on Roku, you can go to our website at www.womenwhorockwithsuccess.com. This is your show host, Ms. Diane Winbush. Thank you for tuning in, and have a great